I like the next club I'll go to, like the right club. If I was to move, it would be like from young. I've liked Arsenal. I like watching Arsenal from how they play and
love how Arsenal play. Love their style.
How passionate the fans are.
People, Deluded, I'm back again. Now, Ivan Toney, as you have seen, has been linked. Various reports have linked him with a move away from Brentford in January. He's been linked with Chelsea, Tottenham, and saving the best till last, Arsenal Football Club. Allegedly, Mikel Arteta is keen on bringing him to the club. The Fabrizio Romanos, the Ornsteins, and every other blog available is talking about it. Thomas Frank has more or less said he's available at the right price. And there's a lot to like about Toney. You can look at his heat map. You can see why and how he filters into what Mikel Arteta wants. He's proven throughout various divisions in this country that he can score goals. Has 32 Premier League goals to his name, people. In the Championship, he did quite well. I'm sure you can see them statistics there. And there's also a lot to like about the lad, really, in terms of his chance creation and things of that ilk, people. Again, he's a very similar striker to Gabriel Jesus. And also, he gave a great audition last season, as did David Raya against Arsenal for Brentford away from home at the Emirates, where we dropped points courtesy of VAR. I think to go back to what you saw previously on the screen, I think the first thing would be there's a lot to like about Ivan Toney. He's Premier League proven. I like his mentality. I like his sense of responsibility. He wants to be the go-to man. He can score free kicks. He can take a penalty. He's an aerial threat. He works the channels. He can score goals. His link-up play is spot on. He's shown he can get 20 league goals. He's got a fantastic record throughout the divisions. I think he set numerous records in the Championship, really. And there's a variety in what he can do in terms of when he's not scoring, and also what he brings to the table in terms of his variety of goals. He ties into what we want to do. I do think, and we're going to get onto it, I think there's, you could say Arsenal need a striker. I think there's every logic. I've been very vocal on Arsenal needing a striker. But I think when we look at the deeper problem with us creative-wise and our creativity, considering the players we've got, the Trossards, the Odegaards, the Sakas, the Martinellis, the Nelsons, the Jesuses, etc., I personally think there's a deeper problem at Arsenal beyond just simply getting a striker. I want a striker who can get 20-odd goals. I think Gabriel Jesus is too good of a striker not to get those numbers, but for one reason or another, he hasn't. And I think that opportunity where he picked the pocket of Maddison and then skied the shot over sums him up. As you know, a clinical striker probably means we run away with 3 points against Spurs. Not saying that goals were the only thing we was lacking, because defensively we didn't do as well as we could. But a clinical striker turns certain draws into victories, some defeats into draws, ultimately more points on the board. I mean, when you look at it, though, as much as I like Ivan Toney, he only has ×3 more non-penalty goals than Gabriel Jesus. He scores more, but he creates less, which I guess that's the give or take. Gabriel Jesus has 0.3 for assists. Ivan Toney's at 0.2. For goals, Jesus is at 0.5. Jesus' opponent for this video in Ivan Toney is at 0.7. So there isn't much into it. Eddie Nketiah is at 0.4 in that regard. Apparently, Jesus has more shots and hits the target more. But then again, Ivan Toney has a conversion rate of 25%, people. Jesus has 19.3. So I do think there's pros and cons. Some people could sit there and say, you know what, maybe we need a bit higher than Ivan Toney. And I think Ivan Toney's a good player. He's Premier League proven, and he'll play better with better players. As Thomas Frank, his manager, once said, he's doing phenomenal. But at a team that creates more, specifically a top 6 side, he'll ultimately score more. But you could wonder, really, is Ivan Toney a curtain raiser? I would say yes, because if you raise the floor of your club, and I mean, to have Gabriel Jesus, Ivan Toney, and another striker would be great, and that means our ceiling's higher. But does Ivan Toney enhance our system greatly? Probably not. You could reckon, we all know the striker market, it's not littered. I'd say the quality of strikers or proven goal scorers is a dying art, really. You're kind of betting on, the Vlahovic's, the Højlund that's gone to United, them kind of strikers there that come on the scene like every 12 to 18 months. You all know, young Ivan Ferguson is obviously at Brighton. That's going to cost 100-odd million quid. And there's other strikers like that. Do you go for an Osimhen who, at least to get a conversation out of Napoli, you've probably got to bid around 100 million? And they spent a lot of money to bring Osimhen to their club anyways. They've won the Scudetto and they're trying to defend it. It's a bit of a wobbly period for Napoli at this moment in time. And we know they're notoriously difficult negotiators. So yeah, we've been linked with Lautaro Martinez. I don't know how much that's going to cost. Apparently he's in talks to get a new deal at Inter Milan. But whether it's Lautaro Martinez Martinez, Vlahovic, Osimhen, the kind of quote-unquote household names to us common Arsenal fans or football fans. It's not really littered with talent, really. I'm all for bringing in another striker because I do think we need a bit more. I think we need to improve our creation. I think we need to take our chances. But I would like another striker if it could be done. As I've said, I personally believe we're getting a decent squad. I know with injuries that kind of, quashes that. But personally, I believe if you get a striker that has a different qualities to Gabriel Jesus and maybe even better than him at scoring goals, you bring in a right winger. I personally think we need a central midfielder or two, probably an 8 and a 6 by this time next year, because I don't imagine Jorginho, El Nene, potentially Thomas Partey will be there. And I think we'd have a really good squad. As you know, we're getting a decent squad. There's a lot to like about Toney. Again, he's got a new agent. He's got 18 months left on his deal. Apparently, he's made it clear he wants to leave in January. Thomas Frank has come out, as you lot have seen in this video, and said he's more or less available at the right price. And for 60 odd million, I don't think that's the worst of business. 60 odd million for Toney versus 100 odd million potentially for other players. And, it seems like Ivan Toney is angling for a move away from the football club, really. So there's a lot to like about him. And Arteta has shown he will buy fairly Premier League established players. But again, as I said, again, the hardest thing to do in football is score goals. As we know, it's the midfield battle week in, week out. Ultimately, football's decided by your efficiency in front of your opponent's net and your ability to defend your net amicably. Now, you look at the North London derby, I don't think we necessarily did that, if I'm completely honest. And it raises the question, is the problems deeper? Where you look at big chances created, big chances scored, big chances missed, expected goals and conversion rates were 12th, 8th, 9th, 8th, respectively. So are the problems deeper? Big chances created by a Premier League team this season. We've created just 7 people. City, Chelsea, Tottenham, Brighton, Newcastle, and Liverpool in double digits. So surely the problems are deeper. Do you sign Ivan Toney in January, or do you potentially wait till the summer to sign an Osimhen, a Vlahovic, maybe even a Ferguson? I don't know, people, but moving in January could boost, or could be something that boosts our chances of bringing in silverware. And obviously there's a lot of lineups you could do, but imagine Jesus behind Toney, Martinelli and Saka either side. It could be amazing stuff, if I'm completely honest with you. As I said, there's a bunch of systems we could deploy. And I actually think someone like Ivan Toney, who's going to do that Gabriel Jesus thing. But for example, if, Odegaard shifted to the left or the right 8, Declan Rice, takes up that other position, Jesus is kind of free to be that chaotic presence while also providing a goal threat. Ivan Toney does that multifunctional striker stuff that you see, as well as obviously, being a handful for the centre halves. And then you've got the Sakas, the Martinellis, Zinchenko, obviously inverting into midfield. As I said, there's many other formations we could go more organically. Jesus could play off Toney in a 4-4-2 or slightly behind him as a support striker role. He can play on the flanks. It could be just one of them or none of them. So it's an interesting dynamic, really and truly, if I'm honest with you. But that's all I wanted to say. Quick video settings. Let me know your thoughts on Ivan Toney. Would you take him? Would you not? Do you think he's a curtain raiser? Don't you think he's a curtain raiser? Would you move from in January? Let me know all your thoughts, as well as smashing the like button, commenting, subscribing. With that being said, as usual, thank you very much for your time. People, DG, people, DG, people, DG, people, DG, people, DG, people.